Welcome back, friends. Today I'm sharing with you 4 easy, delicious meals that you can make for your family. And 2 of the meals are, all of them are simple, but 2 aren't necessarily recipes. It's just something I just kind of threw together and we enjoyed them. And then the other 2 were recipes I actually made in the fall, but did not have a chance to edit those then, but I did now, and I'm going to add them in this video. So I hope you enjoy those. And this first meal is simple and easy. It's not necessarily a recipe. It's just something, like I said, I threw together. Back in October, I think it was, I had bought these pork loins. They were on sale for around $4 or $5. I can't remember exactly, but I think they were 4 something. And like I said, these are great for quick and easy meals. So I like to keep these in the freezer and, just take them out when I need them. But like I said, they were around I think it was $4.94 is what it was. So I bought about 5 of them, had them in the freezer, and this is my last one that I had. So I did something different with each one that I made. But this one, like I said, if you can find a good deal, for $4 or $5, stock up on those. And sometimes I'm able to get, we usually have leftovers, and then sometimes I'm able to also have a lunch with it. So that just depends on how much, how many people you have in your family. But I'm using the Stubbs pork marinade, which is the chili, lime, and ginger. And it's really, really good. And for just extra, I want to add some garlic cloves into this. You don't have to, but I like to have, whenever I do some type of pork, I decided, to go ahead and do that. I'm also going to marinate this before I put it in the oven. So right now, all I'm going to do is, put some slits in it and put some garlic slivers in. But I hate when when you get a pack like this and you have one pork loin that's larger than the other, because it always cooks one side, one's going to cook faster than the other. But I'm just going to go ahead and just put little slivers of garlic into the pork. And then I just put the pork in a Ziploc bag, and I'm going to pour this marinade over that. But this can be used for anything. You could use it for chicken, fish, and it even says garlic. So if you roast garlic. But this one is, like I said, a really delicious marinade. Definitely one to try. And you can also use it with just pork chops if you want, or, like I said, the chicken or fish. And I'm just going to pour it into the bag. And just make sure to fully coat all of the pork. And it says about an hour, but I like to let things like this sit for a few hours. And I actually had time to do that, so that's what I'm going to do. So just make sure, like I said, to fully get it coated. I used a good bit just, to make sure that pork gets coated. But also when you're adding, like I said, I had the slits with the garlic, so that also helps a little bit. Some of that marinade will get into the pork as well. And I do think the longer you marinate, the more flavor you will get. But also, if you want, you can take a little bit of this marinade as it's cooking, and you can baste the pork if you want. So that's an option as well. After a few hours, I put it in an oven-safe pan. And if you've been with me for a while, then I'm going to add some garlic powder onto the pork as well. That's a staple I use all the time for most things I cook. But I'm going to cover it, put it in the oven on about 350, and then once it comes out, where it's done, then I'm going to plate it up. And this is what it looks like when it's done. Just, slice it up into little pieces. And if you want, you can also slice this up and put it into a pasta if you want. But we just had some green beans and a baked potato with it, and that rounded out the meal. So really delicious. Definitely try that marinade. It's really, really good. Now this next one, it's not really a recipe. I had some smoked sausage I had in the freezer that I wanted to start using up because I had bought a lot of that as well. and just decided to, marinate some with this sweet Vidalia onion. Not necessarily marinate, just cut it up, tossed it in a bowl with it. And then I had some frozen broccoli. I'm going to add some of this ranch seasoning to it. I had some potatoes that I needed to use up, so I just sliced those. And I also added the ranch seasoning as well to it, along with this Kinder's buttery flavor seasoning, which is really, really good. And I just put it in the oven on 350 and just cooked it until the potatoes were tender and kind of had a little crisp on that sausage. So this is just one of those simple, easy meals you can make. I love sheet pan meals that don't take long, and you can get it on the table pretty quickly. So this is definitely one of those. And like I said, sheet pan meals, you can pretty much do just about anything, any type of vegetables, any type of meat, and you usually can get a really good, delicious meal with it. So this one is just, one of those simple ideas that you can try. Now this next one is a recipe, and it is a creamy chicken pasta recipe. This one was really delicious, and I will leave the link down below. It was a Pinterest recipe, so I'll leave that link down below for you. But you need about a pound or so of chicken breast, and I think I had a large one, and I just, sliced it in half. I like to always do that with chicken breast when I can, because I feel like it cooks a little bit better. Some flour to dredge the chicken in, and then you're going to also need about 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning, and of course I'm going to use some garlic powder and some rotisserie chicken seasoning to season my chicken with. Now you will need 1 1/4 cups of half and half, a half a cup of dry wine, or you can use some chicken broth again if you want. You will also need 3 tablespoons of butter, 3/4 cup of chicken broth, 3 tablespoons of flour, 3 cloves of garlic minced, and you need a half a teaspoon of chicken bouillon or a half a cube of chicken bouillon. I like to use this better than bouillon, so I'm just going to scoop out, just a half a teaspoon. And for the cheese, you will also need a half a cup of Romano and a half a cup of just some Parmesan cheese. And then for the seasonings, it's a half a teaspoon each of onion powder. It also calls for garlic salt, but I don't have that. I don't use it, so you can if you want. Some oregano, basil, dried parsley, and also some dried or powdered mustard, and an 1/8 teaspoon of smoked paprika. And you can use any type of pasta you want, but I'm going to use these large seashells, so these we always like in recipes. But you need about a half a pound of pasta, so whatever your favorite is will work. Also reserve 1 cup of the pasta water. To a large measuring cup, or something that's easy to pour from, you want to start adding the half and half. Add the chicken broth, and then add your seasonings. And I usually, try to mix it up well, and then add it to the mixture, and then just mix that until everything is fully combined. And then season your chicken with the Italian seasoning, and then you're going to dredge it in the flour. And you want to add this, once you have it dredged, add it to a hot pan that has about 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil in it. I used canola oil because I find it, gives me a little bit more of a crispier or a browner color when I'm doing this. Olive oil, I find, tends to soak up a little bit more, so use whatever your preferred oil is to, get those browned. And then once you do have them cooked, pretty much done, and they're brown, then you're going to take these out and put them on a plate, let them rest for about 10 minutes, and then after 10 minutes, you can either slice them or put them into, cut them into little pieces, bite-sized pieces, whichever your preference is. Now add in the wine, and that will help deglaze the pan. And I'm sorry for the steam. I can't quite help that. But once you get that in there, you deglaze the pan a little bit, add your butter, let that butter melt down, and then you're going to add your minced garlic. And you will just cook this for about a minute or so. You just want to get that to where you have a fragrant scent. Then add in the flour just a little bit at a time. Don't add it all at once, otherwise it will get lumpy. But you just add it. You're making a little bit of a roux to help thicken this up. So once you've added all of your flour, then you're going to start adding that half and half mixture. And you're going to do the same. Just add a little bit at a time. So pour a little bit as you go and stir it and just get that smooth consistency. So once you've added all of your half and half mixture, add whatever chicken bouillon you're using and get that mixed in really, really well. Make sure that you reserved at least a cup or so of the pasta water, because that's going to help thicken up this mixture as well. So first you're going to add in the Romano cheese, which I've already done and have mixed it in. And then I'm going to add in another half a cup of this Parmesan cheese. So you're going to have a total of, a cup of cheese in this. And I just add a little bit at a time, just so that way it doesn't get, everything kind of gets fully incorporated. And you just mix it well until, as I said, you get a smoother consistency. Now start adding in the pasta that you've cooked and drained. Make sure you drain all the water off, because you don't want this to thin out, And once you get all of your pasta in, you will just mix this in very well and coat it well with that mixture. Now add the chicken pieces back into this and just stir that up well. You want to get everything fully incorporated. And then you're going to add in your the pasta water that you had reserved. And just make sure to mix it all together, because this helps just to thicken that up a little bit more. And when you're done, you have a really delicious creamy chicken pasta. This one we really did enjoy. It doesn't take a lot of time to make, and as I said, really delicious. And I had some frozen mixed vegetables that I had in my freezer, which I'm also trying to get rid of to use up, so I can, kind of start buying some other things. But really a delicious meal. And a nice piece of like garlic bread would go well with this if you'd like. But, it's not necessary. This was filling and really good. This next meal is one I like to make. It is especially when the weather's cold, but also it's great, any time of the year. But it's a creamy white chicken chili, and we really enjoy this one. Now this one, makes a decent amount. You can half it if you'd like. You don't have to use, you can just, half the ingredients if you don't have a large family or anything. But I like to have leftovers for this, and, so I do make a little bit extra. So this one's simple and easy, and there's many different chicken, white chicken chili recipes out there, but this is one I've really come to like. So I'm going to share the ingredients that you need for this. You will need 8 cups of chicken broth, and you need about 4 cans of chopped green chilies, 4 cans of Great Northern beans, and 2 cans of whole kernel corn. And you want to drain all of this, so make sure to drain all of the liquid out of the cans. You need a teaspoon of salt. I used a little bit less. 2 teaspoons of cumin, 3/4 teaspoon of oregano, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. You'll need about 4 cloves of garlic minced, 1 large onion chopped up. You'll need an 8-ounce block of cream cheese, and also a half a cup of half and half. And for the chicken, you need about 2 cups or so of shredded chicken. I usually add a little bit more to it, so I have 3 chicken breasts, and then whatever you want for your toppings. And we like the tortilla little strips and jalapeno peppers and some Monterey Jack cheese on it. So whatever you prefer, you can top it off with. But I'm going to show you exactly how to make this, and it's so easy. Add your chicken to the crock pot and then add all of your seasonings. So I just like to, stir it up, mix it up really well, and then just kind of sprinkle it over top of each of the chicken breast. I just want to make sure everything gets, see that the chicken gets really seasoned well. Even though everything's going to be in the crock pot, I know. This is just how I like to do it. So I just try to put it directly on the chicken. Then I add in the onions. And like I said, I know everything's going to be mixed up. Then go ahead and add the garlic, and then make sure that the beans are drained and add those in on top of the onions. Add in the green chilies. And as I said, I have 4 cans, so I'm adding all of those in. And then add in the corn. And make sure that that is drained as well. I do add some dry parsley flakes to this. I just feel like it adds a little extra seasoning to it, but it's optional, so you don't have to do that. But like I said, just, adds a little extra to it. And I don't measure it, I just, sprinkle it on. But then I'm going to add the chicken broth. And I like to buy the large one because it has about 8 cups in it. I mix it up gently. This is in fast mode, but I'm kind of just, gently doing that. Put the cream cheese and the half and half in the refrigerator, and then cover this and cook it for about 8 hours on low, 3 to 4 hours on high. And I cooked it for about 4 hours. And what I'm going to do is I cut up the cream cheese into little blocks, little squares, and then I'm going to take some of the hot liquid out of this and just put it with the cream cheese, and I'm going to try to soften it up a little bit. I like to do this when I don't want to have, the cream cheese how it melts in things like this. If you put it in solid, sometimes it doesn't melt completely. This sort of helps it to get a smooth consistency. So I just kind of, stir that together, and the heat from the liquid will get it to this creamy consistency, as you can see here. And then I just put that into the crock pot and just get every bit of that out, and just, stir that a little bit. Then you're going to add in the half and half, and then just stir that up a little bit. But once you add that, then you're going to take the chicken that you have in there out, and you can either use a stand mixer or, just however you want to do to shred it up. You can use a fork, but I like to use my stand mixer for this, so because it's usually a lot of chicken. And then once you have it shredded, put it back into the crock pot, and then you're going to cover this again and let it cook for about 15 minutes or so, covered. And when you're done, you have a nice bowl of white chicken chili, which is great all year round. We really do enjoy this recipe. It's a really good one. And I just topped it off with those little tortilla strips, and this is the one I use, and some Monterey Jack cheese and some hot and sweet jalapeno peppers, which are really, really good. So really enjoyed this one. This one, like I said, it's one of our favorites, so definitely want to try. I'm hoping to have, I've been working on some Easter content for you, so I'm hoping to have that out for you sometime this week. And also, I'm still working on part 2 of my trip to see Laura Ingalls Wilder's historic sites in Mansfield, Missouri. So I hope to have that out for you next week, so be on the lookout for that. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in seeing more like it, please click that subscribe button and the notification bell. That will notify you when I post new videos. Thank you so much for watching. I hope everyone has a blessed day and a great week. God bless y'all.